After my fiancé became my sister-in-law, I squeezed 20 billion from my cold-hearted father and walked away from Jingbei, the city that broke me. Then I posted on social media. My fiancé ran off with my brother. This young master is officially single and available. The photo? An ab shoot I paid 6 figures for. 1 second later, her girls were already blowing up Sable's phone. Sable, are you serious right now? Riven is that fine. Any woman with eyes would fall for him. I can barely keep it together myself. And you're just letting him be single? The moment Sable hears I'm gone, she panics. She orders her assistant to track me down immediately, but the answer she gets stops her cold. I've already left the country. Ms. Shen, someone of your status cannot travel abroad right now. This time he may actually be done with you. Sable's pupils tighten. A memory hits her. That conversation at the club. Sable, just came from your little love nest, huh? That Riven, cocky as hell on any normal day, acts like nobody exists, but around you he goes all soft and clingy. It makes my heart ache just watching. When are you going to marry him already? I freeze mid-step, heart pounding, face full of hope, but what I hear is, just having fun. Marry him, please. Her tone is breezy. 7 words, light as air, but to me, they land like 7 poison-dipped blades, driving straight into my chest. The private room goes dead silent. Even her closest friends are stunned. I don't know how long it lasts until someone finally dares to speak. No. Seriously? Sable, it's been 3 years. You're still carrying a torch for someone else? Someone else? My mind goes blank, completely blank. Sable has a first love? I stand there like a puppet with no strings, frozen outside the door, listening as Sable gives a quiet hum of confirmation. When we broke up, he asked for 3 years. He'd try other people, and so would I. And if we still had feelings for each other, we'd get back together. So I did what he asked. 3 years. I've done my part. She pauses. He should be coming back soon. I feel like I've been struck by lightning. Ice cold all over, trembling down to my fingertips. 3 years of closeness. Every moment I thought we were truly connected. And it was all just his experiment. But what about Riven? You know his personality. If he ever finds out, but before she can finish, I slam open the heavy door to the private room. Everyone inside jumps. Every head snaps toward me. I stand in the doorway, pale as a ghost. I stare straight at the woman seated at the head of the table. She doesn't flinch. No surprise, no panic, just that same cool, untouchable look. If she had even the smallest feeling for me, her face would not look like that right now. I walk up to her and study every inch of her face. Sable, don't you have anything to say to me? Nothing worth saying. It's exactly what you heard. We were just having fun. I always assumed you knew. Dash made a bet with you. Win me over, and you get your pick of any car in his garage. If a car isn't enough, she reaches into her jacket and pulls out a matte black card, sliding it across the table toward me. There's 100 million here. Call it payment for 3 years of being on call. From this moment on, we're done. She stands up and moves to leave, but the moment she passes me, I reach out, grabbing her hand and holding on. Sable, I actually fell for you. Every memory from the past 3 years floods through me as I say it, but she just shakes her head and holds up her phone. A notification preview fills the screen. Sable, 3 years. I tried, and I still only want you. Come back to me. In that instant, my entire world collapses. Sable stares at the screen for a long moment, then slowly pries my fingers from her hand one by one. Sorry. It didn't move me, and with that, she walks away without looking back. She said it didn't move her, which means for 3 years, only I was the fool, pouring everything I had into a play she directed. I stand frozen, staring at my empty hand. Then I grab an expensive bottle of liquor off the table and smash it against the floor. Everyone in the room goes rigid with shock. Nobody dares to move. I don't know how much time passes before I finally walk out of the club. The night wind hits my face, cold and sharp. I wipe my tears with the back of my hand and flag down a cab to follow that Maybach. I need to see for myself. Who is this person she's been holding on to for 3 years? The one I could never measure up to. The driver notices my state but says nothing. He just hits the gas and follows. Then I notice something. The normally composed, steady driver ahead is going noticeably faster than usual. A fresh wave of pain hits me. She's this eager to see him. The car stops at the arrivals level of the international airport. I pay the fare and stumble out, hiding behind a pillar. I spot Sable standing near the exit. Then a man comes out, rolling a suitcase behind him. The moment I see his face, the shock hits me like a lightning bolt. Not just because he opens his arms and catches Sable as she rushes into him, pressing his lips to the top of her head, but because that person is Crest, the man I'm supposed to call a brother. The one person in this world I despise the most. Less than 6 months after my mother died in a car accident, my father brought a woman home. She came with a son, 3 years older than me. That son was Crest. Harlan claimed she was his first love, and Crest was his real son. He said my mother forced his hand, that she stole him from his first love before she could even give birth, forcing him to end things. But I know the truth better than anyone. Back when Harlan was starting his business, he had nothing, couldn't even afford food. He went to my mother himself, she had been chasing him for years, and promised to marry her if her family funded his company. My mother gave him the money, gave him everything she had, and then in a car accident years later she gave her life pushing him out of the way. And what did she get in return? Her body wasn't even cold when Harlan used her dowry and inheritance as a wedding gift to marry his so-called first love in grand style. Sable can love whoever she wants, but why does it have to be Crest? I'm still lost in that thought when Sable takes Crest's luggage and heads toward the parking lot. Like a man possessed, I hail another cab and follow. I'm close enough to see clearly through the window. Sable turning to Crest, talking to him softly, her hand reaching up to brush a strand of hair from his face. So naturally, so effortlessly. That kind of tenderness. I never once received that in 3 years with her. I keep staring ahead, my vision blurring with tears, when a collision erupts at the intersection ahead. Tires screech, metal crunches, the cab I'm in slams into the car in front, and then a car behind hits us hard. The force of impact is brutal. My forehead slams into the back of the front seat. Blinding pain. Blood streams down immediately, blurring my sight. Through the chaos and screaming, I see through the shattered window. The familiar Maybach door swings open. Sable gets out first, rushing around to the passenger side, carefully pulling Crest out. She holds him, scanning his injuries, her brow furrowed tight with worry. Then she steers him around, ready to leave the scene. But as she turns, her eyes lock with mine. I'm trapped in the crushed back seat of the cab. In those eyes of hers, I catch a flash of shock, but it vanishes instantly. Crest notices her hesitation. Sable, what's wrong? Did you see someone you know? I'm fine. If someone needs help, go check on them. I heard one of the cabs got hit pretty bad. A few seconds of silence. Then Sable turns away. No one I know, just strangers. She supports Crest and walks away from the wreckage without a single glance back. When I come to again, I'm in a hospital. A nurse is adjusting the IV drip in my hand. Seeing me open my eyes, she says, Mr. Fang, you're finally awake. Your injuries are serious. You'll need to stay for observation, and we need to reach your next of kin to handle the medical bill. But my eyes are empty. I don't react. The nurse repeats herself, Mr. Fang, and then a familiar voice cuts through. The bill's already been paid. I whip my head around. Sable is standing in the doorway. The nurse reads the room and quietly slips out. Sable steps in, her gaze moving over my bandaged wounds. Then she reaches out, as if to touch my forehead. I turn away. Miss Shen runs an empire. Why waste time checking on a stranger? Sable's hand stills. If I don't come, who will? That lands. Who do I have? My mother died too soon. My father always chose someone else. Vera never had a real place in my life. That house stopped being home a long time ago. For 3 years, it was Sable, showing up every time I needed someone, making me lean on her, making me believe I'd finally found somewhere safe. And now the same person is the one who pushed me back into the dark. Even if no one comes, I don't need you here. You're the one who said it. We're done. I'm not that desperate, Miss Shen. You don't want me. You think I'd still come crawling back? I draw a long breath, holding on to the last scrap of my pride. You didn't actually believe me when I said I fell for you, did you? I was just saying stuff. We were both just playing around. Oh, and Sable, you're exhausting to watch. Sable stares at me, at my forced anger and my red-rimmed eyes. Her brow creases. She's about to say something when a nurse rushes in. Miss Shen, Crest's examination is finished and he's been asking for you. The moment I hear that, I react like I've been stepped on. Then go. Get out of here and go be with your precious first love. I don't need you. Sable holds my gaze for a moment, silent, then finally speaks. I'm not here for any personal reason. You're Dash's friend. He asked me to check on you. That's when I finally laugh. Even though it pulls at the wound on my face, the pain is nothing compared to what's in my chest. Sable, don't worry, I know better than to read into it. At that moment, something shifts in Sable's chest. This is the first time she's ever seen me cry. Her lips part, like she wants to say something but nothing comes out. She turns and follows the nurse out. Watching her walk away without hesitation, I finally lose the will to hold on and sink against the hospital bed. I expect to cry for hours. Strangely, the tears dry up fast. In the days that follow, I'm alone in the hospital. No one to help me. Changing my dressings drenches me in cold sweat. Every meal tastes like nothing. Sometimes I catch nurses whispering in the hallway about how lucky Crest is, that Miss Shen waits on him hand and foot, personally feeds him, brings him water, stays through the night. One time I walk past that room and through the gap in the door I see Sable sitting at his bedside, peeling an apple. That image burns itself into my eyes. The pain nearly blacks me out, but I don't cry. The one thing Riven is best at is being able to love hard and let go clean. The day I'm discharged, the first thing I do is get my visa. I cannot spend another second in this city. I come back to the house afterward, and the first thing I see is Vera, full makeup, perfectly put together, launching into her usual lecture the moment she spots me. Riven, so you do know how to come home. I don't even glance at her. I walk straight to the entryway and grab a tall porcelain vase, hurling it against the floor with everything I've got. The crash is deafening. Shards fly everywhere. Vera screams, stumbling back 2 steps. Who do you think you are? A home-wrecking side piece thinks she can lecture me? Vera, get this straight. As long as I'm still in this house, you will never hold your head up here. Never. Sharp words, deliberate, everyone lands. Vera's face goes white, her whole body shaking. Riven, what is wrong with you? Harlan charges out of his study, rushes to steady Vera and turns on me with fury in his eyes. You walk through the door and immediately cause chaos. Can you act like a human being for once? I watch him cradle that woman and let out a cold laugh. I'm causing chaos? Fine. Give me my share of the estate now and I'll leave the country. You'll never see me again. Harlan blinks, then pastes on a look of false concern. Don't be ridiculous. Leave? For what? Stay here. This is your home. We're family. I laugh like I've just heard the funniest thing in my life. Drop the act, Harlan. You and Crest. You're the family. My mother died. I stopped having a home that day. Let's cut to the chase. I want what's mine. At that, Harlan's expression darkens. He stays silent for a long moment, then speaks with practiced tenderness. Dad understands you're frustrated. How about this? Dad gives you 5 million. You take a little trip and clear your head. 5 million? I scoff. Harlan, everything you have today came from my grandfather's money, my mother's dowry, and even your life itself was paid for by my mother with her own life. And now you use her money to support a mistress and an illegitimate son living in the house she paid for, and you want to brush off her son with 5 million? Where's your shame? That hits home. Harlan snaps. How much do you want? Say it. I was ready. I pull a document from my pocket and calmly list off numbers and equity stakes. Are you insane? That's impossible. You'd hollow out the entire Fang group. Then don't agree. I buried explosives outside the house. Either sign the deal, hand over what's mine, or we both go up with it today. Your call. Riven, you're out of your mind. Yes, I am. Harlan goes pale, breathing hard, staring at me like he's trying to figure out if I'm bluffing. In the end, the fear of death wins. Are we done? Now go get rid of those explosives. Relax. There are no explosives. I lied. After all, that's how you got my mother to marry you, isn't it? Trick people into it. Harlan finally realizes he's been played. He sputters, points at me, and can't form a single word. I've got what I came for. I couldn't care less about his reaction. I'm already turning to go upstairs when your brother is coming home tonight with his girlfriend for dinner. I don't care what you've been pulling lately. Tonight you sit down, you eat, and you behave. His girlfriend is Sable. You know exactly how powerful the Shen family is in this city. We cannot afford to offend them. So put away that attitude of yours and don't cause trouble. My foot stops dead on the stairs. My whole body goes rigid. Sable. She's coming here tonight as Crest's girlfriend. I don't have time to process it. The front door opens and Crest walks in, holding Sable's hand. All smiles. Dad, Mom, I'm home. Harlan and the still shaky Vera immediately light up and rush forward, fussing over Crest with warmth and bowing to Sable with absolute deference, practically groveling. But Sable, the moment her eyes land on me, she visibly frowns. It seems like this is the first time she's learning that I'm actually Crest's little brother. At dinner, Crest and Sable sit together naturally. I sit alone across from them. The entire meal, I watch Sable carefully serve Crest, placing food on his plate, peeling his shrimp. Vera watches it all with a glowing face. Crest, how did you and Miss Shen meet? Tell Mom all about it. It was at a charity gala. I saw a stray cat stuck up in a tree, so I tried to help it down, but I couldn't get up there no matter what I tried. Sable was the one who helped, and then she asked for my number. He even manages to look a little shy saying it. I can't hold back a short, sharp laugh. Crest has hated animals since he was a kid. He killed a cat when he was little. He would never voluntarily help one. The four of them play happy family over dinner. I'm not in the mood for their little performance, so I get up and step outside to the garden. It doesn't take long before Crest follows. Riven. Standing out here alone, catching some air, I already know what's going on with you. People in our circle told me all about what happened between you and Sable over the past 3 years. I keep my back to him. I tense slightly, but I don't turn. Honestly, when I first heard, I was a little worried given how irresistible you are. You charm everyone regardless of gender. Who wouldn't fall for you? Such a shame, though. All that looks went to waste. Your mother couldn't beat mine, and neither can you. Those 3 years were just charity I handed you. The real thing is back now. Time for the knockoff to exit. I slowly turned to face him. My eyes hold none of the rage or hurt he was expecting. Only contempt. Charity? Crest, did spending all that time abroad make you forget what you actually are? A man who only walked through this door because his mother was someone's mistress. A bastard son who plays games to hold on to a woman. And you want to talk to me about charity? Your mother picked up what mine threw away. You picked up the woman I was done with. Like mother, like son. Always taking other people's leftovers. The smile drops off Crest's face, his complexion cycling between pale and green. You think you won? You're just getting the woman Riven finished with. The one he threw out, picking her up off the ground, and treating her like some kind of prize. I turn to walk away. But the moment I do, Crest lets out a sharp cry behind me. His forehead connects directly with the edge of a decorative stone bench. Blood pouring out instantly. Almost at the same moment, Sable, Harlan, and Vera come rushing out from the living room. Crest is on the ground, hands pressed to his bleeding forehead. Dad, Mom, Sable, don't blame him, I just lost my footing. Vera throws herself at her son, pulling him close. Crest, how can you be so foolish? After everything he just did to you, you still cover for him? Harlan goes rigid with fury, finger pointed at me. Riven, what did you do to him now? I stand there and watch this carefully staged frame-up, my gaze moving over the raging father, the fake mother, and finally landing on Sable. Crouched beside Crest, carefully checking his wound, then looking up and glaring at me like she wants to tear me apart. Good. She doesn't believe me either. Fair enough. Crest is the one she truly loves. Why would she take my side? I think about it for a second, then walk over step by step, and in front of everyone's horrified eyes, I pick up a heavy ceramic pot and bring it down hard on the exact spot Crest already cut open. A dull crack. Then Crest screams, louder and worse. I let go, drop the shattered pot, and say clearly, just so everyone knows, that first time wasn't me. This time was. Everyone freezes, including Sable. I drop the remaining ceramic shards and turn to leave, but a hand seizes my wrist with incredible force. Sable. Her grip is iron, her face dark as a storm. Chairman Fang, if your son behaves like this and goes undisciplined, I won't be letting this go. Harlan is torn between worrying about Crest and fearing Sable's influence. He bows without hesitation. Miss Shen, don't worry. I'll deal with this ungrateful little punk personally. He calls for the security guards on the spot. Grab him, drag him to the ancestral hall and make him kneel. You wouldn't dare, I fight back, glaring at my father with every bit of venom I have. But Harlan turns to Sable, fawning as he asks, in your opinion, making him kneel in the ancestral hall to reflect, is that punishment enough? Sable helps Crest to his feet, blood still streaming from his forehead, and sweeps a cold gaze over me. What she says is brutal. That's too light. I noticed a riding crop hanging in the study. That's not just decoration, is it? She guides Crest away without a backward glance. I stand there, stunned, watching her go. She just told Harlan to whip me. Harlan catches on immediately, and barks at the guards. You hear me? 30 strikes with the riding crop first, then drag him to the ancestral hall. He doesn't get up without my say-so. I fight with everything I have, but they pin me down. Too many of them, and I let my guard down. I told myself Crest's words didn't get to me, but they clearly did. Otherwise, a few sentences from him wouldn't have set me off like that. I'm hauled away to a side room. When I come back to myself, I'm lying in my own room, feeling like I've been crushed into pieces. Nanny May is quietly applying medicine to my wounds, wiping tears as she goes, whispering softly, "Young master, please just apologize to the master. Why put yourself through this?" I shake my head weakly. Give in. Give in to this family, and they'll pick me clean. Nothing left but bones. I pause and pull out a smile that looks worse than crying. It was just a beating. I got my shots in at Crest too. Fair trade. I can take it. I force myself to reach under the pillow and pull out a bank card, pressing it into Nanny May's hand. Take this. She startles and pushes back immediately. Young master, I could never take your money. Take it. I planned this out a long time ago. I'm not coming back. You came with my mother from her family home. Staying here now, they'll never treat you right. This is enough for you to live out the rest of your life with ease. Trust me, quit and leave this place. Nanny May stares at the thin card in her hand, then looks at me, broken and bruised on the bed, still thinking of her, and breaks down completely. Tears stream down her old face as her knees buckle. I stop her. Nanny May, I'm actually in the mood for your lotus root and pork rib soup. Okay, I'll go make it right now. Right now. She hurries to dry her eyes and rushes off to the kitchen. The room goes quiet again. I stare up at the ornate yet cold ceiling and slowly close my eyes. For the next few days, I stay in my room to heal. I push through the pain, slowly packing everything up, including every single thing Sable ever gave me. She didn't love me, but she was generous. All of it together is worth close to 100 million. I almost throw it all away, but I think better of it and call the owner of the upscale club I used to frequent. I heard they're running a charity auction, so I tell them I have quite a few items to put up. They get back to me quickly. There's an event tonight and I'm welcome to bring everything. That evening, I arrive at the club with several large cases, hand everything over to the auction coordinator, and the moment I turn around, I run straight into Sable and Crest walking in together. Sable is pressed close to his side, and the moment Crest spots me, a flash of smug satisfaction crosses his face. My hand tightens instinctively, but I let go. I have a real reason to be here tonight. No point wasting energy on them. I've barely sat down when the lights dim. The host takes the stage and announces that before the auction begins, there will be a 3-minute kissing moment. All couples in the room are invited to enjoy it freely. A spotlight sweeps randomly across the dim room, catching couple after couple in its beam. Not far from me, I watch Sable smile and loop her arms around Crest's neck. He looks down at her, then leans in. Before the pain even has time to land, one of the heavy decorative iron light fixtures overhead comes loose and plunges straight down toward Crest. Sable reacts instantly, shoving him clear, but the edge of the fixture still clips the back of his head. Her face goes white. She grabs Crest and rushes him toward the parking lot, racing to get him to the hospital. Another fixture comes down and hits me. Pain so sharp I nearly black out. A bystander gets me to the hospital too. The accident hits fast, ends fast, and only a few of us were caught in it. I barely finished recovering at home and now I'm back in a hospital bed. I've barely been settled into my room when Sable storms in, her expression dark and terrifying, looking at me like she wants to tear me apart. Riven, I reviewed the security footage. You bribed a club employee and deliberately loosened that fixture trying to drop it on Crest, didn't you? Are you out of your mind, Sable? Besides you, who else would want him dead that badly? Riven, I seriously underestimated you. There's nothing to say because there's nothing to find. Sable, you have no right to accuse me. Accuse you? Looks like without some real consequences, you won't talk. She pulls out her phone and dials. I need you to bring someone in. Riven Fang, second son of the Fang family, suspected assault. Send people now. Hold him for a few days. Let him cool off and think. My eyes go wide, my face stripped blank with disbelief. She's actually using her connections to lock me up. Then what does it mean that I got hit by that fixture too? Within minutes, uniformed officers arrive at my room, ignoring both the doctor's objections and my injuries, and they take me by force. The days that follow are hell on earth. In there, I endure everything. The others in the cells seem to have been given special instructions. They come at me relentlessly, fists and boots. When they finally release me a few days later, I barely look human anymore. Every inch of me is broken, barely breathing. The only thing that drags me out of that place is a message on my phone. My visa has been approved. I take a cab back to the estate, ready to grab my bags and get to the airport, when I walk straight into Dash. He'd just gotten back from traveling abroad, heard everything and came running. The moment he sees me, his face crumbles with guilt. He can't stop apologizing. Riven, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I never liked my cousin's ex, so I pushed you to stir things up with him. I never expected it to go this far. I didn't know her first love was Crest. If I had, I never would have dragged you into it. It's not your fault. It's over. I've let it go. I'm leaving the country. I probably won't be coming back at all. Dash goes still, then tries to hold me back. Riven, don't go. Stay here. I'll have your back. Whatever I have, you have half. No, there's nothing left here worth staying for. Before I leave, I take one last look at this house. Every childhood memory inside it, now filled with Harlan and his mistress and their son like they own the place. I pull out the can of gasoline I had prepared ahead of time, tune out the housekeeper's pleas, and douse the place without expression. Then I light it. Flames rise and swallow everything. I pick up my last bag and walk away without looking back. Dash drives me to the airport, apologizing the entire way, offering me every car in his garage to make up for it. I just shake my head and lean against the window. Me, Riven, even without any talent to my name, just this face alone is enough. Whatever I want, the next one will always be better than the last. That's right, the handsome Riven gets whatever he wants. At the airport, Dash hugs me and won't let go, still apologizing. I know his heart. I don't blame him. This isn't on him. I give him a gentle pat on the back, then let go, give him a casual wave, and head for security. Dash watches until my figure disappears into the corridor. He stands there in silence for a long time before he finally works up the nerve to call Sable. The phone rings for a long time before she picks up. Sable, Dash's voice is sharp. I know you're into Crest, but you and Riven were still together for 3 years. He's leaving now. For good. You can't even come say goodbye? Silence on the other end. Then, after a few seconds, Sable's voice comes through. Who left? Riven. He's gone. Took the first available flight out. He said he's never coming back on anyone else's terms. Are you satisfied now? Dash almost shouts it, then slams the call shut. The harsh dial tone fills the silence. Sable stays frozen in place, phone still raised to her ear, unable to move. Gone. Left the country. Never coming back. These words pile into her head like blows. She frowns, tosses her phone back onto the desk, and tries to refocus on the critical merger documents in front of her. But all those dense, tightly packed words and numbers crawl across the page like chaotic ants. She can't focus. Her mind keeps looping back, unbidden, to the look on my face right before they took me away. That look. She tugs at her collar, restless, and stands at the floor-to-ceiling window. She stares out for a long time, then suddenly grabs her car keys and strides out of the office. In the elevator going down, she calls the airport director on his private line. Find out what flight Riven took out of the country. Now. By the time she arrives at the airport, driving recklessly fast, the director is already waiting, visibly nervous, ready to hand over what he found. Miss Shen, Mr. Fang was on flight FX-108 to Paris. It departed 20 minutes ago. Sable stops dead. She looks up at the massive departure board. Next to flight FX-108, 3 green words glow cold and clear. Departed. She stands motionless in the crowded, noisy terminal. Voices in a dozen languages around her. Wheels of luggage rolling past. Travelers laughing and chatting. Just then, her phone vibrates again. Crest's name on the screen. She draws a slow breath and answers. Sable, my head still hurts a little. Are you busy? I miss you. In the past, she would have dropped everything and gone to him instantly. But right now, she stares at the tiny light of a plane that just vanished into the dark sky, and she's quiet for a long moment. Finally, she answers. I'm on my way. She heads to the hospital, very important person room. Crest is propped up against the headboard, looking a little pale. When he sees her walk in, his face lights up. Sable sits beside him, listening as Crest talks and talks, but her mind is somewhere else. He picks up on her unusual quietness and carefully probes. Sable, are you worried about Riven? Dad told me he left the country. After pulling a stunt like that, honestly, going away to clear his head isn't the worst thing. Give him time. He'll probably come around. Let's not talk about him. Crest nods right away, clearly happy to drop it, but what he doesn't know is, once he falls asleep, Sable picks up her phone again, finger hovering over the screen, and finally opens the chat with her assistant, typing a message. Keep tabs on what Riven's doing abroad. Compile a weekly report for me. But just as her finger is about to hit send, she stops. What am I doing? He was just a bit of fun. Is he really worth this much attention? She deletes the entire message in one swipe. Life after getting back together with Crest looks perfect from the outside. The ideal match. The beautiful couple. Sable does everything a girlfriend is supposed to do. Dinners, work, showing up at the right events. But only Sable knows the truth. This life that looks perfect is actually hollow and completely numb. She drifts mid-task at the office window, remembering a time when I used to sneak in right at her busiest moments, wrap my arms around her from behind, and breathe deliberately into her ear, destroying her concentration completely. She catches herself on the private jet, eyes drifting to that tiny lavatory, the one where I eventually wrapped her in a blanket and carried her out, and when I did, she muttered complaints under her breath the whole way. These memories that have no business showing up now come at her like ghosts, crawling in unbidden, unsettling her every time. She takes Crest to the exclusive private dining club we used to go to, the one that books up months in advance. The food is still exquisite, the setting is still elegant. Sable eats in silence, but her mind drifts back to how I used to wait for her to look away and steal exactly the dish she wanted. Then I'd claim it wasn't even spicy, until I'd grab her hand and drink straight from her glass to cool down, telling her without a hint of shame, what's yours is mine. Every meal ended in absolute chaos, but it was alive. And this dinner, this one is so quiet the only sound is silverware touching porcelain, suffocating. At night she lies on her usual side of the bed, half asleep, and her arm reaches out automatically to the side, and lands on a warm body. But it's wrong. The warmth is wrong. Not that bright burning heat. The breathing is wrong too, no familiar natural scent. Even the quiet sounds of sleep are wrong. I was never a still sleeper, always stealing the covers without realizing it, like a small animal searching for warmth, half asleep and burrowing straight into her arms. Sable's eyes snap open. A wave of deep, almost violent rejection rises in her chest. For the first time, she practically shoves Crest aside, gets up and walks out of bed. Go to sleep. I just remembered there's an urgent document I need to handle. Without waiting for his stunned response, she goes straight to the study and shuts the door. She needs to be alone, needs silence, needs to force the face that keeps getting clearer in her mind out of it for good. 1 week later, an important business gala, and Sable attends with Crest. Everyone says they're perfect together. Sable finds the whole night suffocating. suffocating. A spoiled young man at the dinner takes issue with Crest, provoking him deliberately. Crest's only move is to turn and look to Sable. In the past, Sable would have stepped in. She always felt his background wasn't strong enough, so of course she had to hold things together. But right now, she thinks of me. If that had been me in that situation, I probably would have turned around and splashed my drink right back at him, then said without a care in the world, "So sorry, my hand slipped." The contrast hits her hard. Just then, a young man from an old family, one with a history of bad blood with the Shens, and a mouth that never knows when to stop, saunters over with a drink. "Heard you and Riven had a falling out. He's off living it up abroad. What a shame. I've always been curious what it's like." Before he can finish his sentence, Sable delivers a single, zero-warning slap straight across his face. He doesn't see it coming. Crashes to the floor with a cry, blood pouring from his nose. The entire room freezes, every person staring at what just happened. Sable looks down at him without an ounce of pity. "Who do you think you are?" Then she turns, ignoring the man on the floor, ignoring every shocked face in the room, leaves them all with "Watch your mouth," and walks out with an equally stunned Crest in tow. It is the first time in her life she has ever lost control like this at an event that mattered, and it was triggered by a single throwaway comment about me. On the ride home, the car is heavy with silence. Crest seems shaken, and after a long pause, he carefully speaks up. "Sable, my mom called again today asking about when we're thinking about marriage." Sable presses her fingers to her temple, her voice flat. "There are a few cross-border merger deals at critical stages right now. It's a busy time, let's talk about it later." Late that night, Sable sits alone in the study and opens a password-protected album on her phone. Inside is a single short video. It's from a gathering of friends a few years ago. "Someone dared me to sing. I gave in, jumped up on stage, grabbed the mic, and launched into an upbeat pop song." She doesn't even remember when she saved this. She genuinely doesn't know. She watches the figure on the screen, free, alive, unbothered, and compares it to the stillness of her life now. Something squeezes around Sable's heart, tight, suffocating. She shuts the video off hard, flips the phone face down on the desk, chest heaving. Time passes, and before long, 3 years are gone. The capital's international airport. Sable is returning from a major overseas business trip, Crest accompanying her as her fiancé. The arrival is meant to be low-key. They take the very important person corridor to stay clear of the crowds, but the moment they step out, a wall of sound hits them. The arrivals hall is packed. Hundreds of young men and women holding glowing signs, flowers, and banners, screaming the same name in a single thunderous voice. "Riven! Riven! Riven!" The noise is so loud it feels like the roof might lift. Ordinary travelers stop in their tracks, turning to stare and whisper, "Who is that? What is going on?" "You seriously don't know? Riven. He's the biggest name in entertainment right now. Debuted 3 years ago, a face that could launch 1,000 ships and the man of 1,000 faces on screen." The moment Sable hears my name, her feet stop without her permission. Her eyes follow the noise and the crowd's gaze, locking onto a massive billboard hanging on the pillar across the corridor. She stands there, completely still, staring at the enormous poster, the noise of the entire hall fading out around her, until the only thing left in the world is that figure blazing like a star. Crest sees it too, and his grip tightens on Sable's hand instinctively. "Sable, that's Riven. I'd heard he went abroad and got into the entertainment industry, throwing away a perfectly good life as a young master to mess around in show business." There's a deliberate dismissiveness in his tone. Sable doesn't seem to hear it. She has known, for all 3 of these years, she never once reached out to find me. But news of me found her anyway. She knew I debuted at the top, that every film I made was both critically praised and a box office hit, that I'd won more major awards than she could count. She even had her assistant secretly buy every film I'd ever made and collect posters and merchandise from every brand I endorsed, all tucked away in the most hidden drawer of her study. She just never let herself go to me. Then her eyes cut through the surging crowd and lock onto the figure who has just walked out of the regular arrival corridor, closely flanked by bodyguards and assistants. Just one look, and she knows, I'm even more striking in person than on any poster. While Sable watches me across the crowd, a woman suddenly bursts through the fans with a bright laugh, holding an enormous armful of Ecuadorian roses. It's Soleil, heiress to the Shang family. Soleil takes my carry-on bag with ease, leans in and whispers something in my ear, and I burst out laughing. Genuinely, loudly. Watching this, something in Sable's expression cracks, the air around her dropping so cold that even Crest shivers. The crowd practically carries them into the parking lot. By chance, Sable's car is parked right beside the stretch Lincoln belonging to my team. Sable watches Soleil hold my door open with a smile. Just as I'm about to get in, something makes me pause. I turn, and my eyes find Sable's. I give a polite nod. "Sable, why is she here? Not my problem." At the same moment, Sable's heart shoots up into her throat. She can actually hear her own pulse, but the very next second, it goes dead silent. Because what she sees in my eyes is a stranger looking back. Riven barely tilts his head in Sable's direction, as if acknowledging a random fan who recognized him. Then he looks away, completely unbothered. He ducks into the car without a second's pause. Soleil, meanwhile, has noticed Sable. She pulls the door shut, and through the window she raises an eyebrow in Sable's direction, lips curling into a slow smirk. Then the black stretch Lincoln peels away, disappearing through the exit of the airport parking garage. Watching all of this, Sable stands frozen, rooted to the spot. Crest calls her name several times from beside her, but she doesn't hear a word. There is only a low, steady ringing in her ears and one thought playing on repeat. He saw me, and and he looked right through me. Back at the hotel suite, Sable drops herself hard onto the couch. She doesn't sleep. Not a single minute. The airport plays over and over in her mind. The way Riven looked at her, like she was nobody. The easy intimacy between Riven and Soleil, and that parting smirk from Soleil. Every detail is a needle dipped in poison, pressing into her skin, and it's only now that she realizes she cannot stand the way Riven looked at her, and she absolutely cannot stand another woman standing beside him. The more she thinks, the more she unravels. She shoves herself upright, walks to the minibar, and pours herself a shot of something strong. She throws it back in one go, then she grabs her phone. She calls her assistant. I need everything on Riven's whereabouts in Jingbei, his address, every move he's making for the next week. And Soleil, what has she been doing for the past 3 years? What exactly is she to Riven? I want a full report. The faster the better. The order is given. Sable paces the room, waiting. Every minute stretches like an hour. Several hours later, her assistant calls back with a thorough report. Riven's address and schedule are laid out in full, but the information about Soleil makes Sable's chest sink further and further. Soleil comes from old money and she's brilliant in her own right. The moment Riven left the country 3 years ago, she quietly shifted her entire world to Europe, setting up base in Paris. Moving behind the scenes as an investor, she cleared the path for Riven, using her connections and resources to help him break into the fashion world and establish himself in film. Over those 3 years, she has never once left his side, a quiet, constant guardian. Their bond is undeniable. Publicly, they are known as close friends. Whether it's gone further, the world can't agree. Friends. Sable lets out a cold laugh. She ends the call. A man and a woman, just friends, please. She can see exactly what Soleil wants. And you, Riven, how could you let someone like her get this close to you? A sharp hostility takes hold of her, a sense of threat she has never felt before. For the first time in her life, Sable feels something ugly toward the name Soleil. She needs to see Riven. She needs to look him in the eye and ask what Soleil really is to him. Fortunately, a week later, the chance arrives. Her assistant reports that Riven will be attending the after-party of a top haute couture show. Sable immediately pulls strings to get herself an invitation. The event is held on the grounds of a historic private estate. The moment Sable steps inside, her eyes find Riven. He is deep in conversation with several internationally acclaimed directors and producers, switching effortlessly between French and English. Sable holds her glass and watches him through the crowd. She waits. She waits until she sees Riven's energy begin to fade, until he slips away alone toward a terrace overlooking the garden. Now, she follows without drawing attention. On the terrace, the night air is cool. Riven leans against the railing, gazing out at the distant lake. Sable approaches from behind, takes a deep breath, forces the storm inside her down, and still, the words that come out carry an edge. What is going on between you and Soleil? Riven isn't surprised she's there. He doesn't even bother to turn around. Well, if it isn't Emma Shen, it's been a while. Whatever I do or don't do with someone, I don't believe I owe you a report. That title, MS Shen, and the coldness behind it makes Sable feel like she's suffocating. She steps closer and grabs his hand. You've been gone for 3 years, and you've completely lost your judgment. You know exactly what kind of person Soleil is. She's played the field more than I ever have. What could she possibly give you? At that, Riven finally turns around. He looks down at her with calm, quiet authority. Miss Shen? You're not exactly in a position to talk. You say Soleil plays the field? Funny, I used to be one of the most notorious playboys in the Jingbei social circuit. We're well matched. Besides, Soleil has never once hidden how she feels about me. She respects every choice I make, every boundary I have. Unlike some people, who were never truly mine to begin with, yet wasted 3 full years of someone else's life under the pretense of giving it a try. Sable, who do you think is worse? The words land like a hard slap across the face. Sable's face goes pale. She opens her mouth, but there is nothing to say. Just then a voice cuts in. I was wondering where you disappeared to, and here you are, cornered by someone who has nothing to do with us. Soleil strides over, loops her arm through Riven's as naturally as breathing. Miss Shen, long time no see. What's this, having a little chat with my boyfriend? The mood looks a bit tense. The word boyfriend hits Sable like a punch to the head. Her pupils contract. She snaps her gaze to Riven, staring, silently begging him to deny it. Even just a frown would do, but Riven simply tilts his head toward Soleil, letting her words stand, without even a glance in Sable's direction. Soleil drinks in every flicker of Sable's reaction, and smiles. I hear you and Riven have a little history, but that's ancient history now. Riven has me, he's doing just fine, so please, don't trouble yourself. She pauses, letting her gaze drift pointedly toward the empty space behind Sable. Speaking of which, where is Crest tonight? Didn't bring him along? So what exactly are you here for, Miss Shen? A little something on the side? Poor Crest. Before Sable can get a word in, Soleil turns away and pulls Riven with her. Sable stands there, watching them leave side by side, her hand curling into a fist at her side, tasting for the very first time what it means to have your heart ripped open. After the party, Sable comes home radiating a dangerous kind of silence. Crest senses it immediately and becomes even more careful, hovering, offering gentle words, trying to smooth things over. That evening, he brings her a cup of warm milk and steps into her room. Sable, you've been wearing yourself thin lately. Do you want me to rub your head? Remember when we first met? There was that one time I climbed up to rescue a cat stuck in a tree and nearly fell off the ladder. After you helped me, we got together. I used to do this for you back then too. You always said it felt good. He is trying to pull her back with the memory of how they began, but the more Sable listens, the deeper her frown gets. For some reason she can't quite explain, a memory surfaces. Something from a long time ago. An old servant at the Fang household, muttering under their breath that Crest, even as a child, never liked animals. That he'd once secretly killed the neighbor's cat. And then she remembers something Riven once said about Crest, sharp and mocking. Something she'd always brushed off, dismissed as Riven trying to cause trouble. But right now, something clicks. She quietly reaches up and moves Crest's hand away. It's fine. I'd rather be alone. Crest has no move to make. He doesn't dare push it. He just quietly lets himself out. A few days later, Sable's highly capable assistant is sorting through a batch of old files shipped over from back home when they stumble onto something. A copy of an investigation report that had been deliberately buried for years. It concerns the fatal car accident that killed Riven's mother. The report indicates the crash was not simply an accident. There are signs it was deliberately orchestrated. And the one who stood to gain the most? Harlan, who rose to power and took control of Fang Group immediately after. Almost simultaneously, an informant Sable had planted inside Fang Group sends an urgent message. Fang Group is already a hollow shell. In recent years, Harlan has been siphoning enormous sums of money, routing them through a web of complex offshore transactions to hide the assets. And Crest and Vera, mother and son, didn't just know. They were in it up to their necks. Fang Group is buried in debt, teetering on the edge of collapse. But what hits Sable like the ground dropping out from under her is what comes next. A secret recording. It captures Crest on the phone with someone he calls a friend. Back then, I threw myself off that ladder on purpose. Faked the whole cat rescue. I needed Sable to notice me. Women like her fall for that kind of thing every time. The garden incident. I staged that too. I knew Sable was about to come outside, so I timed it and walked right into her path. And the light rig at the club. I paid someone to loosen it. I wanted it to hit harder, but it only grazed me. Still got the job done. And Riven, who does he think he is? Thinking he could compete with me. Sable's heart has always belonged to me. One small trick and she believed everything. Even had Riven locked up for days. It is only now in this moment that Sable finally sees the truth. The one she thought was the love of her life was a lie from the very beginning, and every wound she ever inflicted on Riven was built on that lie. She was a complete and utter fool, played like a puppet by this mother and son every step of the way. Sable's legs give out. She crumbles to the floor, white as a sheet. She immediately has someone summon Crest to her room. When she throws the evidence in front of him, he tries to deny it at first, but faced with the irrefutable proof and the full weight of Sable's fury, his defenses shatter. He collapses to the floor and confesses everything. Sable? I did it because I love you too much. I was jealous of Riven. I just wanted you to care about me more. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please, give me one more chance. Sable stares down at the twisted, desperate thing Crest has become. She feels no mercy, just disgust. And at the same time, Riven's face surfaces in her mind, unbidden. Even at his lowest, even in his worst pain, Riven never begged, never crawled. In this moment, everything becomes clear. The one who made her heart move was never Crest, this fake constructed illusion of a first love. It was always the real one, vivid and alive and true. Riven, who gave her everything he had even after she had torn him apart. Whatever she told herself she felt for Crest, that was just self-deception. Now that the truth is out, Sable moves with ruthless efficiency. She orders Harlan to immediately return every asset he stole, then uses her connections to hand the evidence of Crest and Vera's crimes over to the authorities. She ends things with Crest, completely, permanently, severing every tie, without a moment's hesitation. But when it's done, what she feels is not relief, it is emptiness. Riven, I'm in so much pain. Where are you? I need to see you. I want your forgiveness, even if there's only the smallest chance you'd give it. For the first time in her life, Sable sets aside every shred of pride and dignity. She goes to the villa her assistant tracked down and waits outside. At 7 in the evening, she stands there holding an elegant paper bag. Inside, a signature cake from a classic bakery that Riven used to love, flown in especially. She remembers how much Riven loves sweets, especially when he's in a bad mood. How just one bite of something sweet would ease the tension out of him. But she waits in that car the entire night, until her eyes are bloodshot, until she looks hollow and worn, until the sky begins to pale, and finally a familiar sports car pulls up and stops at the villa gate. Riven steps out from the driver's side, walks around to the passenger side, and opens the door for Soleil. Soleil reaches up and ruffles his hair, says something that makes Riven laugh, warm and unguarded. The sight of it cuts straight through Sable. She shoves open her car door and strides toward them. Riven, can we talk? Riven turns at the sound of her voice. When he sees who it is, his brow immediately creases. Miss Shen, why are you here? There's nothing to talk about. Sable takes a desperate step forward, fumbling for her phone, scrambling to pull up the evidence. Riven, please listen to me. I've looked into everything Crest and his family did. I was wrong about you. The garden, the light rig at the club, your mother's accident, none of it was an accident. It was them. I was blind. I was stupid. I let them fool me. But before she can finish, Riven raises a hand. So? Sable goes still. The truth is out. And then what? Did you think I'd come running to you in tears and say now that you finally know, let's be together? Sable, your apology, your regret, none of it means anything to me. The damage is already done. The humiliation of being discarded by you like garbage, the pain of having my wrist broken in that detention center, these things don't disappear because you say you're sorry or because you show me evidence. As he speaks, Riven's gaze drops to the paper bag in her hands. He lets out a short, humorless laugh. Still remember my favorite bakery. Quite the effort, Miss Shen. Had it flown in from halfway across the world. He lifts his eyes and looks directly into her face as the color drains from it. But I don't eat sweets anymore. Too rich, too cloying, and with that Riven turns and follows Soleil through the gate. The heavy wooden door swings shut, and Sable is cut off. She stands there silent, motionless. The bag in her hands feels impossibly heavy. Inside the villa, Riven leans his back against the cold door and slides slowly to the floor. He can't pretend it doesn't hurt. There's still a dull ache pressing against his chest. But mostly, what he feels is relief and exhaustion. Letting go isn't as hard as he thought it would be. Soleil sits down beside him on the floor and gently pulls him into her arms. Riven, I'm right here. You still have me. This is all behind you now. Yeah, it's all behind me. Outside, the rain comes down harder. Sable stands in it, hollow and lost, staring up at the window that will never open for her again. Her eyes are empty. She knows what she has lost is gone forever. When she finally goes home, Sable shuts herself in her room for days, refusing to see anyone, refusing to deal with any business, just staring at the sky. Riven's words keep ringing in her ears. None of it means anything to me. The way he looked at her, like she was a stranger. She can't shake it. She cannot accept it. She cannot accept that Riven has simply cut her out of his life, or that there is another woman standing beside him. But instead of waking her up, that first failed attempt to win him back only stirs something deeper, something in her bones, a need to control, to possess. I, Sable, have never failed to get what I want. Riven, I see it clearly now. You have to come back to me. An almost unhinged thought takes root. She needs to manufacture a situation, one where Riven has no choice but to face her, where he needs her. She picks up the phone and calls her chief assistant. Use every resource we have. Find out what Riven's most important upcoming business deal is, and whatever it takes, I'm getting in. Her assistant is fast. The report comes back quickly. Riven's team is in final negotiations with a century-old luxury house over a global brand ambassador contract. They are at the critical last stage. Sable's eyes light up. She immediately reaches out in the name of Shen Group to the brand's headquarters with a partnership proposal. A deal that costs her more than it gains, with one condition: delay signing Riven as global ambassador. The weight of Shen Group's influence is not in question, especially in the Asian market. Faced with an offer this significant, the brand's leadership wavers, just as expected. The overseas video signing conference scheduled for the next day is postponed, pending further evaluation. When the news reaches Riven's team, the atmosphere instantly goes cold. His manager's face tightens with worry, turning to look at Riven. Riven is standing at the mirror running lines for an upcoming film scene. He hears the news and his expression goes flat. Of course, this is exactly Sable's style. She wants to force him to bow his head. Soleil is sprawled lazily across the sofa, scrolling through her phone, but the moment she hears this, she puts it down and comes to stand beside Riven. Relax, I'm here. Sable's reach only goes so far. When the overseas video conference is rescheduled, the large screen in the brand's boardroom comes to life one window at a time. Riven, then Soleil's team, then Sable. The meeting begins. The brand CEO chooses his words carefully, referencing the more strategically compelling partnership Shen Group has proposed. The hesitation behind his words is clear. Sable takes her cue. Shen Group has tremendous faith in your brand's future. We believe this partnership will be a win for both sides. As for the ambassador selection, I believe it warrants more careful consideration to ensure the individual's image truly aligns with the brand's core values at the deepest level. She never names Riven directly, but the implication is unmistakable, that Riven might not be up to the role. The atmosphere in the meeting drops to freezing, and then Soleil's unhurried voice slides in. Miss Shen, it's been a while, tell me. Not enough to keep you busy back home, so you've come all the way over here to weigh in on who gets cast in the European fashion world? She turns her gaze directly to the CEO, voice shifting, firm and clear. Charlie, Riven's image, professionalism, and market influence speak for themselves. The Shang Family Foundation has long been one of your most significant art sponsors. I personally have deep admiration for what your brand stands for. I believe choosing Riven as your global ambassador is the only right decision. As for certain outside interference, she pauses, eyes cutting across the screen to where Sable sits. Business has its rules. Don't bring things that don't belong at the table to the table. Riven is where he is today because of his own talent and hard work, not because anyone handed him anything, and he certainly doesn't need to accept deals that come with strings attached. Soleil's words land like a sharp slap, rattling both Sable and the room. The Shang family's roots and reach in Europe are in a different league from Shen Group entirely. Next, it is Riven's turn to speak. He speaks with calm and complete command, laying out his understanding of the brand's 100-year history, its artistry and craft, the soul at the center of everything it stands for, and drawing from his own journey and vision to propose a genuinely compelling approach to the ambassadorship. He is precise, confident, every bit the A-list star he has become. The executives exchange glances of clear admiration. Whatever hesitation they had is gone. The CEO makes the call on the spot. Perfect, he's the one. The global ambassador contract is signed. Sable's screen goes dark first. She sits alone in her cold, empty office, listening to the dial tone, knuckles white. That night she screams at her assistant, who stands motionless and barely breathing. Why? Why won't he give me even one chance to make it right? Whatever Riven wants, wealth, connections, status, I can give him all of it. 10 times over, 100 times. So So what does he actually want? The assistant watches her spiral towards something frightening, hesitates for a long moment, and finally speaks in a careful, quiet voice. Miss Shen, perhaps what Riven wants has never been any of those things. The words stop Sable cold. If not these things, then what? For the first time, she genuinely sits with a question she has never asked herself before. Unconditional trust, unwavering choice, or simply, love? She turns it over and over and finds no answer. And then, just as she is lost in thought, a breaking news alert sends ice through her veins. Breaking news. Continuous heavy rainfall in the southern French Alps has triggered severe flash flooding and mudslides. Multiple villages have lost all communication. Roads are destroyed. The situation is critical. Then her assistant's urgent message arrives. Riven is in that area. The moment she reads that last line, Sable's heart stops. Riven had been invited to participate in a charity shoot for the International Children's Fund, near the town that has been hit the hardest. All communication to the entire region has been cut off. Whether he is alive or not, unknown. At the time, Sable is chairing a critical board meeting that will shape Shen Group's strategy for the next decade. The moment her assistant delivers the news, she is on her feet, no explanation, no pause. Every board member stares in stunned silence as she drops the documents in her hands and walks out. Get a plane ready now. Fastest route to Nice? No. Go straight to the nearest airport that's still operational. Contact every rescue organization in the area. Hire the best teams available. Money is no issue. I'm going myself. Corporate strategy? Business empires? None of it matters now. There is only one thought in her head. Find Riven. Hours later, Sable arrives with a highly experienced, well-funded professional mountain rescue team, forcing a landing at the closest small airport still able to receive aircraft. The weather is brutal. Thick black clouds blanketing the sky, wind and rain lashing everything. Without stopping for a second, Sable boards the waiting helicopter and heads directly toward the area where all contact has been lost. But the helicopter cannot land. It can only hover above a relatively stable patch of ground. Against the crew's protests, Sable is the first one down the rope, rappelling down into the mud below. The rescue team leader surveys the destroyed road ahead, flooded, collapsed, littered with fallen trees, and grabs her arm. Miss Shen, the conditions ahead are too dangerous. The mudslides are still active. You cannot go in. Less talking. Lead the way. Sable's eyes are red. She is already at the front, pushing forward. The floodwater rises past her calves, bone-chilling cold. Rocks keep breaking loose from the hillside, the wind strong enough to knock a person off their feet. During one scramble to dodge a small collapse, a boulder comes rolling hard toward the pack behind her, the one carrying critical rescue equipment. Without thinking, Sable throws herself at the pack to knock it clear. The rock catches her left arm instead, its edge opening a deep gash, right down to the bone. Miss Shen, a team member lunges toward her to bandage the wound, but Sable waves them off. No time. She tears a strip of cloth, wraps it roughly around the gash, and pushes forward, jaw clenched. After more than 10 hours of relentless, brutal searching, they finally find Riven inside a classroom on slightly elevated ground, completely surrounded by floodwater. Riven is there with several teachers, comforting dozens of terrified children. His hair is a mess, his face pale, his clothes soaked and filthy, but he is calm. He is even telling the children a quiet story, trying to chase the fear from their eyes. When Sable staggers into the doorway, caked in mud, stained with blood, everyone freezes, including Riven. He looks up, and the moment he sees her, his face goes completely still with disbelief. Their eyes meet. For a few seconds, time stops. Sable sees Riven standing there, alive, unharmed, and something she has been holding tightly for days finally releases. She doesn't feel the searing pain in her arm. She doesn't care about the state she's in. She crosses the room in a few long strides as everyone watches, wide-eyed, and pulls Riven into her arms and holds him tight. Riven, you're okay. Riven stands still in her grip, feeling her heartbeat hammering against him, her whole body trembling. He reaches up and pats her on the back, then pushes her away, firmly but not unkindly. Thank you for coming out here, Miss Shen. I won't forget this. I owe you. Sable's arms fall empty. The warmth on her face vanishes as she watches Riven's calm, unchanged expression. She doesn't move, just stands there. Then, the sound of another helicopter landing comes from outside. Soleil has arrived with a second rescue team and supplies. She rushes into the classroom, her eyes finding Riven immediately. The moment she sees him unharmed, the relief on her face is visible. Then her gaze shifts to Sable. When she sees the wound on Sable's arm, something flickers behind her eyes, sharp and alert. In the makeshift shelter set up nearby, medics work to clean and close Sable's wound. It's deep, it needs stitches, but Sable barely seems to register the pain. Her eyes follow Riven as he moves around the room, tending to things. She leans toward her assistant and asks quietly, "When he saw my injury, did he seem even a little concerned?" The assistant looks at Sable's pale, stubborn profile and quietly looks away. The answer is written in the silence. The rescue operation has landed like a stone dropped into still water, sending ripples through everyone who witnessed it. Soleil saw it with her own eyes, how Sable threw herself into danger without a second thought for Riven's sake. It shakes her in a way nothing else has. She realizes Sable's feelings for Riven run deeper than she ever imagined, and she can't afford to wait. So the night before the relief work stabilizes and Riven's team prepares to return home, Soleil doesn't arrange anything grand. No fanfare, no stage, just a quiet moment near the temporary shelter, on a small hillside where the stars are visible. Just the two of them. The night air is cool. Soleil looks over at Riven beside her, his head tilted back toward the sky. She takes a breath, steps in front of him, blocking his view. Riven, there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a long time. I think it's time. I know you probably always thought I was annoying as a kid, always getting in your way, always picking fights. The truth is I had no idea how else to get your attention. You were too bright, like a little sun, always surrounded by people. That clumsy, combative version of me was the only way I knew to make sure you'd at least remember I existed. Then we grew up, and I spent my days drowning myself in bars. Because seeing you with Sable hurt in ways I didn't know how to carry, and I had no idea what to do with it. I numbed myself the only way I could, and I wanted you to see me, to know that even when I hurt, someone wanted me. When you left for abroad, I followed almost immediately. Not for any other reason, just because I like you. I've liked you since we were little. Riven is silent for a long time after she finishes. These past 3 years, everything Soleil has done for him, every small thing, he remembers all of it. She sat with him through the loneliness of being a stranger in a foreign country, quietly held him up when his career stumbled, stayed by his side through the night when he was sick, and never once pushed him or pressured him. Now Soleil suddenly crouches down and takes his hand. Riven, I know there are still wounds inside you, that you haven't fully let go. I'm not in a hurry. I can wait. I just want to ask you one thing. Will you give me the chance to be with you the right way, as your girlfriend? Riven looks at Soleil. This woman who grew up beside him, who laughed and fought and drove him crazy, and never left when it mattered most. He is quiet for a long time. Soleil's heart nearly sinks all the way. Then Riven nods, gently, a small smile crossing his face. You confess your feelings to me, I'm always going to say yes. Soleil lights up instantly. She throws her arms around him and holds on tight. Their relationship isn't announced publicly, but among those close to them, it is no secret. When the news eventually reaches Sable, however, it is the last straw. She is at the hospital at the time, having her arm treated. The wound had become infected from the rain and the search, triggering a fever severe enough that she had to be admitted. When her assistant gently delivers the news, Sable goes still for a moment, then bolts upright in bed, ripping the foredrip from her hand, then sweeping the entire medical cart off the stand with one shove. That's impossible! How could he? How dare he? What gives Soleil the right? Sable ignores the doctors, ignores her assistant, and checks herself out by force. She drives straight to Riven's villa, forgetting entirely that her arm is still wrapped in bandages, forgetting she still has a fever. There is only one thought. Go to Riven and demand an answer. The night is deep and dark. She stumbles up to the closed iron gate of the villa and pounds her hands against the cold metal bars, voice going raw as she shouts his name. Riven, come out. Tell me this isn't real. You can't do this to me. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Give me one more chance. Riven. Security arrives quickly. Several large guards move to restrain her. She fights back, never stopping, still screaming his name. Eventually, she's dragged away from the gate, shoved into a car. Up on the second floor of the villa, a curtain shifts slightly. Riven stands behind it, watching the spectacle below, watching the woman who once held herself above everyone being hauled away like she's lost her mind. His face is blank. Then he pulls the curtain shut. The next day, Riven sits in the sunlit warmth by the floor-to-ceiling window, flipping through a newly arrived screenplay, while Soleil sits cross-legged on the carpet with her laptop, working through emails, occasionally glancing over at him. The comfortable quiet is suddenly broken by a notification on the tablet. A breaking news alert. The chairman of Fang Group, Harlan, has been formally arrested on suspicion of massive embezzlement and tax evasion. Fang Group's stock collapses instantly. The company announces bankruptcy and liquidation. An in-depth expose on the fall of Fang Group suggests a mysterious financial power may have been behind the precision takedown. The bold headlines fill the screen. Riven scrolls through them, finger pausing for just a moment. His gaze lands on the news photo. Harlan, surrounded by reporters, the arrogance on his face replaced by panic and shame. Riven's expression doesn't change. He looks like a man watching a story that has nothing to do with him. Soleil puts her laptop aside, comes to him, and settles into his arms. No words, just the quiet reminder that he is not alone. Over the days that follow, the news around the Fang family continues to unravel. Vera attempts to flee the country with what's left of the laundered money, but police are already waiting at the airport and arrest her on the spot. And Crest, losing his father's protection, his family's fortune, and watching his mother get hauled away, completely falls apart. He tries to reach Sable, clinging to the fantasy that she might still care enough to help him, but Sable's assistant stops him cold at the lobby of Shen Group's headquarters. He never even gets to see her face. Not long after, a gossip outlet reports that Crest has been admitted to a psychiatric facility on the outskirts of the city. Riven closes the news feed, rises, and walks to the window, looking out at the distance. Soleil rests her head against his shoulder. It's all over now, Riven. Yes, it's all over. The bitterness, every last piece of it, dissolves with the fall of the Fang family, and the end that came for Crest. This is the moment Riven finally walks away from everything that came before. The annual International Film Awards ceremony captures the world's attention. Stars fill the red carpet. Riven walks it with Soleil on his arm. Back in Jingbei, at the top floor of Shen Group, Sable sits alone in the dark in front of the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, the only light in the room coming from the television, which is streaming the awards ceremony live. When the camera cuts to a close-up of Riven and Soleil, her pupils contract. The results are announced. Riven has won Best Actor for a film that peels back the complexity of human nature with brutal honesty. When his name is called, the entire auditorium rises. In the spotlight, Riven walks to the stage and receives the award. He gives a brief acceptance speech, thanking the director and the crew. Then his gaze finds Soleil in the crowd below. And last, there is one person I need to thank. My love, Soleil. Thank you for standing beside me and giving me strength through everything. This award is half yours. The camera finds Soleil. She is already on her feet, and she blows a kiss to him from across the room. Sable shuts the television off, Hard. In the dark, she breathes in uneven gasps. No, I cannot just sit here and watch this. I have to do something. The after party is held at the official awards hotel. It is well past midnight before Riven and Soleil finally leave, surrounded by assistants and security, heading for the underground parking garage. But as they reach the car, a figure stumbles out from behind a column, blocking their path. It is Sable. Her eyes lock onto Riven. Just talk to me. 5 minutes. No. 3 minutes, just give me one more chance. The last one. I'm begging you. Without you, I have nothing to live for. Soleil steps forward immediately. Sable, look at yourself right now. Snap out of it. Riven is with me. He is happy. Please, stop interfering in his life. Happy? What right do you have to give him happiness? What do you even know about him? Do you know he gets cold easily in winter, that he steals the blanket in his sleep? Do you know he can't handle spice but eats it anyway, and always needs ice water after? Do you know Riven's voice cuts through. Sable, leave the past where it is. What was between us ended a long time ago. It didn't end. How could it just end? Sable reaches for Riven's arm. Soleil steps between them. In the middle of it all, no one notices that at the entrance to the parking garage, a black car, its driver apparently drunk or the vehicle suddenly losing control, surges forward in an erratic, uncontrolled line, straight toward them. Watch out! Soleil reacts first, but someone else is faster. Before anyone can fully process what is happening, Sable throws every ounce of her strength into shoving Riven, who is standing closest to the edge, out of the car's path. The force of it sends her spinning directly into the vehicle's trajectory, a heavy, dull impact. Sable's body goes flying, like a kite with a broken string. The trauma room lights stay on all night. Riven and Soleil keep vigil on the bench outside in the corridor. When the sky begins to lighten, the door finally opens. The doctor steps out, exhausted, and tells them Sable's injuries are critical, multiple fractures, internal bleeding. After everything the team could do, she is out of immediate danger and has been moved to the ICU. But she is not in the clear yet. Close monitoring is required. Riven exhales, but the weight in his chest does not lift. They wait outside the ICU for another full day and night before Sable's vitals finally stabilize enough for her to be moved to a regular room. Soleil goes in with Riven to see her. Sable lies on the white hospital bed, tubes running from her body, face pale, visibly thinner than before. But the moment she sees Riven walk in, her eyes light up. She forces out a sound. Riven. Soleil gives Riven's shoulder a quiet pat, signals that she'll wait outside, and gently pulls the door shut. Riven walks to the bedside and sits down. The doctor says you're out of danger for now. Sable looks at him, drinking him in, and slowly lifts the hand without the IV drip, reaching for him. But when she sees the distance in his eyes, her arm falls. I'm sorry, Riven. And then the words begin to come, slow and broken. From the beginning, how Crest had deceived her, to the moment she understood her own feelings, but let pride and stubbornness stop her from ever admitting it, and the pain of losing him, the regret that never leaves. She apologizes over and over, confesses her love over and over, stripping herself of every last piece of dignity. Riven, I know I deserve everything that's happened to me, but I'm begging you, just one more chance. Let me spend the rest of my life making it right. Without you, being alive feels like nothing. Riven listens in silence, letting her finish, until her voice fades with exhaustion. Then he speaks. Sable, thank you for saving my life. I will carry that with me. A flicker of hope appears in Sable's eyes, but Riven's next words extinguish it completely. But love is not gratitude, and it is not guilt. What we had ended long ago. The day you used your connections to have me thrown into that detention center for Crest's sake, letting me suffer in there, every time you chose to believe him and hurt me without hesitation, it was already over. Sable, this is where we end. He stands. He doesn't look back. He walks to the door. Outside, Soleil is waiting. Riven goes to her, takes her hand without a word, and walks away from the room without looking back. Sable lies in that hospital bed, staring at the empty doorway, at the back of the man who is already gone. Tears fall without her realizing it. Time passes. Another year turns, and Riven's career reaches a new peak. He takes on an epic film directed by one of the world's most acclaimed directors, playing a man who holds on to his convictions in the middle of war. His performance is extraordinary, gut-wrenching in the best way. At the ceremony widely regarded as the highest honor in cinema, when his name is read aloud for Best Actor, the whole room erupts. Riven rises calmly, pulls a tearful, beaming Soleil into a tight embrace, then walks toward that stage the world is watching. Under the spotlight, he holds the award that represents everything and delivers his speech. Thank you to the cast and crew, thank you to my family, and everyone who has believed in me. And last, his gaze finds a woman in the crowd below. I want to dedicate this to my fiancée Soleil. You are the reason I know love can be this beautiful. You gave me the courage to become a better version of myself. Soleil, the rest of my life is yours. The camera finds Soleil. She is already on her feet, hands forming the words I love you across the distance. Not long after, a quiet, intimate wedding takes place at a private estate, just their closest family and friends. Sunlight, a green lawn, flowers, white fabric. Riven wears a suit made for him by a designer who is also a dear friend, clean, elegant, and walks with Soleil on his arm down a path scattered with petals. Their wedding invitation also finds its way to a few people from the past. In Jingbei, at the top floor of Shen Group headquarters, Sable stands before that massive floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the city still thrumming with life below. She is thinner than she was a year ago. On her desk sits an elegant wedding invitation. On the day of the wedding, she doesn't go. She only goes to the office where she and Riven spent so many hours tangled up in each other's lives. Her phone screen suddenly lights up. A message from a number she doesn't recognize. No text. Just a photo. Riven in his suit, standing in brilliant sunlight, smiling at the camera with a happiness that is utterly complete. A few seconds later, another message arrives. Just one line. Sable, I forgive you, and I'm letting myself go too. Take care. Sable stares at the photo and the words. Something hits her in the chest like a fist. Her hand trembles as she traces Riven's face on the screen. That smile. And then the tears come, unstoppable, falling hard and heavy onto the glass. She laughs and cries at the same time, like someone coming undone. And in the end, she presses the phone tight against her chest, against the heat still burning there.